So the biggest scam in the history of mankind. So how the government is creating currency out of thin air. So step one, government creates bonds. Then step two, banks swap IOUs to create currency. Then we go into step three, where government spends the numbers. And that's all it is, just numbers. And then you see the banks go ahead for step four and multiply those numbers via fractional reserve lending. And as of March 13, 2020, fractional reserve lending, the rate at which they can lend out at is 0%. So they need to hold no reserves and they can lend out all the money in there. Then we go to step five. Our numbers are taxed for our hard work, our blood, our sweat, our tears, our talents, our ideas. All of it is taxed out of money they create out of thin air off of a blank checkbook, where there's a debt ceiling delusion. They think that we can pay off our debts. Little do they know that for every $1 of currency created, $2 of debt is created. So if we were to pay off our debt, then the whole system would collapse. So that's why they're going to keep printing, keep propping it up, because deep down they know that if they were to stop, the whole system would crumble, and they don't want that happening on their hands. And then step seven, secret owners take their cut. So these secret owners are not so secret, because we have a little lean into thinking that the banks own the Federal Reserve. So the big banks like Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, we have an insinuation that they actually own the Federal Reserve. So in this process, the banks are the first to get the wholesale prices from the Treasury for the government's debt, and then they go and sell that debt to the Federal Reserve, who then writes a check off of $0 in an account, creating money out of thin air, paying the banks, and then swapping the IOUs, and there's when the cash is created. And then the banks take that, they get their spread on that, and the banks own the Federal Reserve, so they're getting on both sides. So why should we care? So our current system today funnels wealth from the working population to the government and the banking sector. It is the cause of all booms and busts within economies. This is only possible because we no longer use real money. We use currency. It is a form of enslavement. This very system is what has kept them at the top of this financial food chain over the last 100 years. So the Federal Reserve and the Treasury are swapping bonds and checks, which are just glorified IOUs, using the banks as the middleman, and that's how currency springs into existence. So this cycle just keeps rinsing, recycling, and repeating, and it's stealing the money from the working class and the people, and they're creating money out of thin air off of a $0 account, and they're making money in each step of the transaction.
If you're new to crypto, or if you've been in crypto for a while and you still don't feel like you have a strategy, then we have the perfect thing for you, because it's one thing to have a strategy, but it's another thing to automate that strategy. So what we're doing right now is a waterfall flash sale. This is the start of week one. We just launched our Stargate automated experience, which gives you access to utilize our custom automatic trading bots that we built for XRP, XLM, HBAR, Algorand, and a bunch of other altcoins. If you're sick and tired of watching the charts every single day, worrying, stressing, guessing about prices, and if it's going to go up or down, then look no further than this, because this is the holy grail for any crypto holder or trader.
All right, guys, so we just learned about the biggest scam in the history of mankind. So now that we know about it, what can we do about it? So there's two things. We recognize what's going on underneath the surface of this whole entire system, and we know that it's a scam. They're creating money out of thin air, and then they're loaning it out to us, and then we have to pay that money back in interest, plus we owe tax on it. So now that we know this, we know that we need to prepare for that eventual collapse that may come from this debt bubble that they keep propping up and up. So how do we prepare for it? So number one, we buy cryptocurrencies. Number two, we buy gold and silver, physical gold and silver, because those two assets, cryptocurrencies and precious metals and commodities, there's no direct ownership of it. There's no central authority that governs the way that it's structured and set up. So there can't be that much manipulation towards it. No country owns it, and they can't pull the strings of interest rates to really kind of mess with that system. It's a whole new ballgame. So number one, we're buying cryptocurrencies. We're stacking it for the long term because we know the timeline and we know the eventual collapse is going to come. But meanwhile, we're able to recognize what's going on in front of us. So it's good to have that perspective of, I know what's going on beneath the surface. I know what's going on above the surface. So us knowing on what's going on below the surface, we're able to prepare by getting crypto and getting precious metals, specifically crypto, because they have way more upside because the future's headed digital. Then, while we know what's going on above the surface, we know that they're going to keep trying to prop this up, and they're going to keep propping up the stock market and loaning out money and everything. So we can take advantage of the assets like stocks or other assets that they're just going to keep propping up, because we know what they're doing. They want to keep the system afloat and make it go higher, higher, higher. So while we're taking advantage of that, because we know what's going on, we know what their game plan is, then we can be stacking up the cryptos and the precious metal for that eventual collapse. So we're able to play both sides. And we know that it's a scam of a system because they create this money out of thin air. They loan it out to us. We have to pay an interest rate, plus we get taxed on it. So we know this is a scam, and we know that it's going to eventually fall. You can see it around us. Something's got to break. So we're planning for what's going to happen when the dominoes fall, because we know what's happening now behind the scenes, but we're also aware of, hey, maybe it's not going to happen right at this moment, but eventually it will. So we're able to play the game in front of us and really take advantage of this propping up the market and this kind of fraud of a system. And we can still play stocks. We can play those other assets and make our money while we're preparing for a collapse. And the reason why we want to prepare now and start stacking crypto and start stacking precious metals is, think about when C19 happened. Everybody was rushing to the store trying to get paper towels, toilet paper, but they couldn't find any. I bet you there was people months before that smelled something going on or heard something or saw something that they started stacking up on those things ahead of time. And they were like this saying, we're fine. We got everything that we need because we prepared. Same thing with crypto and same thing with precious metals, because this eventual collapse is coming because we know about it and we see how it works. So we can get prepared now. So when there is that eventual collapse, we're doing the same thing. We're saying, hey, we're good because we prepared for this moment. So that is it for the biggest scam in the history of mankind. In the next video, we go over the history of money, because you want to look to the left and you want to look to history to then be able to look to the right and predict or forecast what may happen. Because it's like the universe has a cycle and everything has a cycle. Every 100 years, there's a big macroeconomic shift in world currencies, where every 10 years, there's a recession in the stock market. So it's like there's a huge kind of pattern playing out with cycles and time and just the universe. So I'm going to give you some insight on that. So that's why we're going to look at the history of money, because a new form of money coming our way real soon. So we're going to dive into that in that video. So I'm going to see you in that video. So good luck. Congratulations. You made it through the first video. You guys are doing great. So below in this description, there's going to be like resources and like key terms and everything like that. So feel free to look at that and reach out if you need any more clarification. So good job, guys. I'll see you in the next one.
Are you sick and tired of just stressing and guessing, holding and hoping, and watching the crypto market go through its ups and downs and not doing anything about it? If you're someone in that position, then look no further than the Stargate automated experience. We just launched it and we built custom automated trading bots for XRP, XLM, HBAR, and a bunch of other utility coins. If that sounds of interest to you and you want to learn more, click the video below and I'll see you over there.